time outside of work, she enjoys spending time with her family, decorating cakes, yoga and walking, reading, travel, and volunteering at Ridge Elementary School. Angie is also the loving caregiver to her husband, Paul, who has recently finished his second bout with cancer. Please join me in welcoming Angie to the stage.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening. I'd first like to give thanks to Joanne and this year's committee for inviting me to speak to you all tonight. Thank you for hanging around till the very end. I'm always more than happy to share my experiences as a relay team captain and caregiver in the hopes that it will further the reach of participation in relay among members of our community. You hear at the end, I'm speaking to the choir. But I love you no more the less. My mission tonight will be to share my experiences without crying too much. It's pretty inevitable, though. I guess you could say that cancer is responsible for where I am today. Not because I've been personally given the diagnosis, but because my grandma Zaza was diagnosed with colon cancer at age 53 in 1991. That chain of events led to my family settling down in St. Mary's County, which led to my going to Chalktown High School, which led to my choosing to go to St. Mary's College of Maryland for school, and then eventually applying for a job there, which led to my meeting Paul, my now husband of nearly 14 years, along the way. Anyway, my family was stationed in Orlando at the time my grandma was diagnosed, and my amazing mother, not long after she had dealt with caring for me, during and after I had a brain hemorrhage at age 8, left my siblings and myself in care of my father and my paternal grandmother for a while she came to Southern Maryland to care for her mother as she went through chemo treatments and surgery. We had orders to move to Germany in May of 1992. Thankfully, my grandma was feeling well enough to come with my grandfather and visit us that fall. Unfortunately, not long after they returned home, she got sick again when the colon cancer spread to her liver. In the fall of 1993, my dad got out of the Army, and we moved to Maryland so my mom could help take care of Grandma Zaza again, but not be apart from us. I contributed to Grandma's caregiving by keeping her company. We watched a lot of General Hospital and Gone with the Wind, and I helped prepare her food, most often an English muffin with mashed bananas, because it was one of the few meals that she could stomach. Sadly, she went into hospice care and passed away at the too young age of 56 on April 14, 1994. I can still remember that afternoon when I came home from school and my grandma Numera sat me down at the kitchen table and told me the news. I was 13, and it was my first experience with death, let alone the death of a family member. I wish that this was the only time cancer had affected someone I love, but unfortunately I can't. Many others in my family tree have battled and lost, but there's been a big win. One of my closest aunts is a breast cancer and thyroid cancer survivor. Of course, it doesn't just stop with family. Too many colleagues and friends from various departments and offices at the college have been touched by cancer. Just from the current and former faculty in my psychology department alone, I can count 4 survivors. And we've also had a recent loss. When I gave a kickoff speech for the St. Mary's College of Maryland Relay in 2013, I talked more at length about my experience with my grandmother and my aunt, and I said that I wasn't naive, how I knew that someone or else in my immediate family could be diagnosed with cancer in the future, and that was why it was so important to support relay efforts. As I said it, I was still thinking to myself, don't worry, Angie, surely it won't happen. I was wrong. In March 10th, 2016, not long after I'd experienced a brain hemorrhage and was still recovering, my husband Paul visited our primary care physician as a follow-up to an earlier visit for when he threw his back out. His back was fine by that point, but he took the opportunity to casually mention that he had felt an ache in one of his testes for a few months and recently discovered a hard lump while showering. Expecting a call from him saying that he was on his way back to his office, I was a bit taken aback to hear that the doctor had advised him to go get a sonogram. I met him at the hospital, and within 2 hours, we were back in the doctor's office with a confirmation that there was a small tumor on his testes. The doctor explained that it was very likely cancerous, as most tumors in that area tended to be, but that testicular cancer, especially if a simple seminoma and detected early, was the best kind of cancer to get and very treatable. Unlike the stage 4 brain cancer his uncle had lost his 3-year battle fight against in 2015. Overall, Paul and I reacted to the news pretty well, and we stayed very positive. We had timing on our side. The tumor was small, and thus if cancerous, it was likely caught very early, so the outlook was good. We had humor on our side. As you can imagine, nut and ball-rated jokes abounded. But most of all, we had hope on our side. We kept saying to ourselves, and this is exactly why we relay every year. I'll admit that I broke down once when I first got back to the office and shared the news with a colleague who was a survivor, because there was a chance, even if it was small, that things would not go in a positive direction. Within a week, we met with a urologist who told us the good news that additional body scans thankfully confirmed there were no tumors anywhere else, and we scheduled an orchiectomy procedure for March 23rd to remove the left testes. The standard procedure for testicular tumors, as doing a biopsy, could make the situation much worse. On March 28th, pathology confirmed the tumor was indeed cancerous. A unique combination, unique being special, that's great, of 95% simple seminoma and 5%, I can't even say this word, syncytiotrophoblastic, a more complicated, we'll just say that, form of giant cell. So we met with an oncologist on March 28th to discuss the options. We'd have to wait 30 days to see if the tumor markers in his blood went down to determine just how aggressive treatment would need to be. In the meantime, on April 2nd, we walked his first survivor lap at the St. Mary's College Maryland relay together with our then 4-year-old daughter, Lorelei, who has been a registered team member since she was 2, because I want to teach her that you can make a difference no matter what your age. Yes, I cried a bucket full. You can remember. His 1-month follow-up tumor marker blood work looked normal, so we had good reason to believe the cancer had been contained in the testes and that it was removed, and that was the end of it. The oncologist said that we could choose to do nothing other than frequent, careful monitoring, localized radiation, or a single round of chemo. The unique combination of the tumor types wasn't something she had seen, though, nor had her colleagues at Georgetown, which made me a little uneasy, to say the least, but the giant cell was only 5% of the tumor, so it was decided that treatment options wouldn't change. At that point, we knew we weren't going to have more children, so we opted for chemo because it was the best and most preventative measure we could help take to ensure no further cancer developed. So on April 26th, the day after his 35th birthday, Paul had 1 5-hour round of carboplantin, pretty strong dose, which he thankfully tolerated very well, aside from some queasiness and lack of energy. Fast forward to this year, March 4th, 2017, almost a year later from his initial diagnosis and a week after walking his second survivor lap at our college relay, when Paul went to the emergency room for severe pain in his left kidney area, which had only started about a week prior. We were expecting the doctor to give the diagnosis of a kidney stone, but instead he said, "Mr. Draheim, your cancer has returned." Cue maybe a couple more little breakdowns along the way, but still being positive. In the flurry of a week, we went to the oncologist. He gave blood samples, he had a full PET body scan done, and a pulmonary test. The PET showed he had 2 tumors next to each other on the lymph nodes in the left abdomen region. One was pretty sizable, a little larger than a golf ball, in size, and the other was about 2 centimeters. The larger one was pushing into the muscles as well as putting pressure on the tube that connects your kidney to the bladder. And this is what was causing him discomfort and pain just about all day long. If it got worse, it would cause kidney problems. So his oncologist consulted with doctors at Georgetown again, as well as Dr. Einhorn of Indiana University, who was well renowned when it came to the treatment of testicular cancer, to quickly set up and start a treatment plan. Unlike last year, where he received only 1 round of chemo with 1 drug, he would be doing 3 cycles, with a 3-drug cocktail, each cycle lasting 3 weeks. The first week alone, he had 5 days in a row of chemo. The first day was 7 hours, followed by 3 to 4 on each of the following 4 days. That was followed by 2 weeks with 1 day each of an hour of chemo, and the cycle started again. And so it went. 5-1-1, 5-1-1, 5-1-1. Throughout treatment, Paul was a champion and a superhero. He had a great sense of humor, an incredible positive attitude, and he didn't complain, even when he had to spend a few hours in treatment for a few hours on his 36th birthday. The weeks with 5 days in a row were particularly tough. He was so exhausted and slept a lot. He had some nausea, but fortunately the medicine they gave him kept him at bay, so he could have an appetite and he could eat pretty much anything. He developed neuropathy in his fingers and the balls of his feet. We shaved his head when his hair started to fall out 2 weeks in, but we joked while doing so, saying that he looked like Vin Diesel, and maybe he should stay that way. I never imagined Paul with a bald head would be okay, and I kind of liked it. But we had an amazing support system from our family members and colleagues from various offices across St. Mary's who brought us meals, so we had one less thing to worry about. People like Joanne and Kelly. So his final 1-hour day of treatment was set for May 8th, but it was delayed due to low platelets and because the results from his pulmonary test the week prior didn't come out very well. We knew one of the drugs had a side effect of causing lung toxicity, and his capacity to diffuse oxygen had gone down considerably, 40%. So they did a PET scan on May 15th to see where things stood. 2 days later, we got the great news that his tumors, which actually turned out to be more in number than we thought, because they'd been so squished together and they were now more separate, had diminished quite a bit in size, and their metabolic activity had decreased to levels that Dr. Einhorn said was a good sign and considered acceptable results. With such positive results, the oncologist didn't feel the need for him to receive his 9th session of chemo that got missed, especially because it was the drug that causes the pulmonary issues, and said there was no need for surgery at this time, and he's considered to be in remission. The tumors that still exist may or may not continue to shrink, depending on how much of it is scar tissue built up from treatment. Of course, I was, and I am happy and relieved, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm nervous, and I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll continue to keep a close eye on his health via frequent checkups, the blood work done every 6 weeks, and CT scans about every 3 months, unless blood work deems it done sooner. This will be his norm for a while, but we consider it a small price to pay to stay ahead in the game. The oncologist will also be talking to his pulmonary doctor about his test results to see how we can proceed with that. He's not going on a bike ride anytime soon, but it'll likely be a while before his body adjusts. In the meantime, we'll take it one day at a time and enjoy life to its fullest. I think you can see why Relay is a cause dear to my heart. I can't not participate. Raising awareness to ensure early detection saves lives. Funding patient support programs and research programs is absolutely critical. Cancer does not discriminate. We know this. And as a result, all in our community have been indirectly or directly touched by cancer somehow. We've lost too many, and it's just too much, and it needs to stop. Supporting the fundraising efforts of the American Cancer Society through participating in events like Relay for Life is a way to help make sure that one day it will. I look forward to the future with hope that sometime in at least my daughter's lifetime we will find a cure and finish this fight. Until then, I will sing Lorelei songs that my grandma Zaza sang me, and our family will relay together in the memory, honor, and support of many. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And this is, oh. Thank you, Angie, for that wonderful message of hope. When we started 7 or so hours ago, we said we were here together to fight a disease that never sleeps. It's a relay tradition in nearly 5,000 communities across the United States to keep one person from each team on the track at all times. This track was pretty lively tonight. I'd say we did it. We've worked hard to get to this point. Not only have we stayed up long after sunset on this beautiful day, but we've worked all year long to make this event happen. We do it because we have all been touched by cancer. On behalf of every relayer in St. Mary's County, Maryland, we would like to thank all of the teams, our sponsors, survivors, caregivers, and participants who came together to make this relay such a success. Without you, cancer wins. With you, we save lives. A special thanks goes to the leadership team, many of whom are over here on my left. The success of this event is in so many ways a reflection of your dedication, spirit, and passionate commitment to the fight against cancer. Thank you. We have a lot to celebrate. As of right now, we have raised, and this is a delight to be able to share with you, $101,960.09. Well done. We went over $100,000, folks. We will have our wrap-up meeting on June 13th at the Tech Center across the street. An email will be sent to all the team captains to remind you to join us. Relayers, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything. Would you please join me in also thanking our sound folks? It's now time to pack up, clean up the campsites, and go home and get some rest and get ready for June 2nd, 2018, when we will return back here for our next relay. Please drive safely, get some rest, and be proud of your accomplishments. Be proud to be a relayer and know that you are helping to finish the fight. Thank you all.